And we're live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Pop Fly Pop Shop exclusive. It's my honor to be here to moderate a conversation with Daniel Horine, artist and creator of Pop Fly Pop Shop. Say hi, Daniel.
Hey, everyone.
And of course, we have Ellis Valentine, All-Star Gold Glove winner. Thank you for your time today.
How you doing?
Awesome. Well, if you are new to Pop Fly Pop Shop, let me briefly explain how it works. On popflypopshop.com, every week there is one available. I'm sorry, you have 1 week to buy these online. We're getting an echo going on too. I don't know if one of you guys can address that. But on popflypopshop.com, he has a comic book style cover. It is not a comic book. It is a style, an art cover. And it is only available until Sunday. This week with Ellis Valentine, there's an autograph option where he has agreed to sign your issue if you would like to request that. Daniel, can you show us the beautiful cover this week? Oh, there she is. It is only available.
Hey, look at that.
Sunday, yeah. So, Mr. Valentine, what was your reaction in seeing your Hauser arm cannon here?
It just brings back those memories. You had a lot of good years with the Expos in Montreal. Well, in Montreal, pretty much. And then the following years, I was injured a lot, but I really enjoyed the defensive side of the game.
Now, sometimes, Daniel, you'll take a very baseball-like literal approach, and here you chose to go more comic book style, kind of cartoony. What led you to do that?
I think just the nickname, the Human Howitzer, is such a expressive name, like on its own. It almost like the cover kind of makes itself in your mind already before you've even drawn anything. You've got this great visual, and so just and that arm, that very famous arm of his, it was just a very easy translation to do here.
And now, Mr. Valentine, did you ever read comics as a kid?
Oh, I did. Not as much as a lot of these folks. There's a bunch of folks that are avid comic folks, and this was just a really emotional time for me to be able to see this. It was so cool. Daniel, you really kind of captured a part of my my history that, you know, it just rings all the bells. It really made me feel good.
Right. Well, let me be transparent here, Mr. Valentine. I'm a sucker for an outfielder with a gun. Like that.
Come on now. We're like assassins, you know.
Now, I read probably 75 to 100 baseball lists, like every top guy, like Bill James, to any schmuck with a blog. Every single list I found, you were at least in the top 10 of greatest.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. That means a lot. And the guys that I played with, to hear some of the comments from those guys like Pete Rose and Gary Templeton and Kenny Force and Gary Carter and you name them. We played together, Andre and I. It's a joy to hear people really talk about it, share about it, and to see what Daniel's done here, to kind of bring it back to life. It's right now it's just an art, and baseball is just not there anymore.
Right.
And it's really sad because it helps. You got a guy up there struggling on the mound, and it gets past the infielders and gets to us. We need to do something, and so when we make plays like that, it really can turn a game around.
Now, speaking of affirmation from other people, Daniel, can you bring up the cover and share the Felipe Alou quote that you thought it was just really incredible?
Sure. So it's got a quote on there, and I'm not going to pretend to read French, but it is in French. But the translation would be, there's a plateau where you can't throw any harder or throw any more accurate. That plateau is Ellis Valentine.
I was very emotional when I heard that from Philippe, because he played with guys like Clemente. Ferrello, those kind of guys. I mean, he's been around that, and to make that comment, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of French, is that kaboom in French there, Daniel?
That is it. I did some homework.
Nice. Well, again, this is popflypopshop.com. These are available until Sunday. You can actually get Ellis Valentine's autograph on that cover as well. And in fact, if you have a question for him today, send it in to the chat box, and Daniel will get to the one that he considers the best, and you'll even get a surprise gift from Popfly Pop Shop. I think is part of the problem, Mr. Valentine, with the underappreciation of an outfielder's arm is there's not really a good stat to measure the effectiveness of an arm. Like, assist is there, but if they don't run on you, you can't get them out.
Yeah, and that happened to me the year after I won the Gold Glove because it got exposed. The first 2 years, I was throwing out guys left and right because they didn't know. And hell, if they had internet back then, they would have found out. But these guys now. I mean, the closest thing we had to the internet was, watching our games in Atlanta on Ted Turner's channel after the game was over, and we got a chance to see ourselves. And most time we just didn't have the time to do that. And so now you can flick of the switch, you can watch anything you want. But, it really hurts right now with outfielders and infielders defensively and getting a chance to kind of loosen up. They don't take infield practice anymore before games. They just go into games. See, promotions is more important now before the game. So I remember we used to have to change our clothes 2 or 3 times before the game started because we had infield practice. We had to come in, if it was hot in Houston and places like that, man, you were wringing wet. So nowadays, the game is just different. They just don't do that anymore. So it's just not an emphasis on outfield play, especially outfield assists and throwing play. And I think that needs to come back because these guys are hitting the ball a long ways now.
Mm-hmm.
So those guys out there in the secondary area, they need to be effective. Just my opinion.
You guys are like Deion Sanders, right? He stopped getting interceptions because no one would throw it anywhere near the guy.
Exactly. Yes.
And so here's my idea. You tell me if I'm crazy. They should make an outfielder stat called a hold. And if on a ball hit, if they would do a math algorithm that guy should have gone to third or should have gone home, but they stopped, they give credit to the outfielder for preventing 90 feet. And then they start paying those guys more, and then the value of that arm goes back up. Am I crazy?
That's not crazy at all, but it would be cool if they did that, but it would expose a lot of people.
Oh! We saw some bad outfield defense on the Yankees last couple nights ago.
Oh, my. Let's not even go there. Oh, my. Wow.
Now, Daniel, my suspicion is you love the outfield arms too because you've done Guerrero, you've done Ichiro, you've done Dawson, and now you've done Valentine. You got a soft spot for the outfielder arms, Daniel?
Don't forget Dale Murphy, Evan.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
So, speaking of TBS, there's Dale Murphy right there. And
you're a baseball guy. You're a baseball guy, so you're gonna hit all these points, and that makes all the sense in the world. It feels good.
Awesome.
Yeah, when we talked to Dawson, he just had so much value for good outfield defense. That's just been incredible for you guys to play together.
Well, it was Andre and I call us playmakers because, there was times when I'd be going really hard to right center, and Andre's coming really hard, the same way. And for me to have Andre flip the ball to me, if he cuts it off in the alley, which he did several times, and flip to me, and then I throw to second, we get the guy at second. We did that several times. Now, that's outfielders playing together in concert. You know what I'm saying? And you got to do that. If you don't do that, you're leaving a tremendous amount of holes out there defensively. For your team, for the other team to score. So Andre and I did that very well. Okay, there was another guy that did it very well with us too, Jerry White. I know Cromartie played out there well, but Jerry had the footwork, and that's what's important when it comes to throwing and it comes to positioning yourself. You saw the ball off the wall in Boston the other night. That ball came down one hop, bam. He was already in the throwing position when he threw to the cutoff man, and he had two cutoff men to throw to. If he missed the first one, he had the second one. If he came up short on the first one, it was right there, and that's what he did. A one hop to him and then a throw to home. They nailed Judd, but it had to be perfect, but it was. But that happens, and so it's just nice to see when those kinds of plays come around and take your ball club to another level. But I like that whole thing he's talking about. I like it.
All right, I'm gonna push it. I don't know anybody though.
We'll get there. Give it time.
Right. Can you show the cover again, Daniel? Again, these are available on popflypopshop.com. It is only available until Sunday. You can also get the autograph on there. Now, I was drawn towards the face mask homage in the top left corner.
No, yes.
Can you talk about your injury and how you responded to that, Mr. Valentine?
Well, we got thrown at quite a bit back in the day. These guys get thrown at now, and they sit around here now. They have all this body armor that they wear to the plate. And, we didn't have that back then. You know what I'm saying? I fouled the ball off my shin. They took a pad from inside of a catcher's shin guard and put some stitched some Velcro to it and wrapped it around my leg. And next thing you know, I had a pad. And that was back in the 70s. That was 1978. So the football helmet came about after I got hit in the cheek. They threw at us quite a bit. I remember Andre got hit by Eric Chow. Just at certain times you just freeze. You can't get out of the way. You just can't move. It just collapses everything. And it happened. And so Harvey, our clubhouse guy, he whittled up this face mask from a football helmet from the Alouettes or whatever team is. And it was. And he made this guard, and it got me through for about a year. And then Joe Torre suggested in New York that I kind of overcome this, and it was difficult to overcome this because at that time I was going through a protocol that probably wasn't really recognized back then, or in baseball for sure. And that's some of the stuff that these guys are going through in football, with this concussion thing. I got hit with a 90-something mile an hour fastball. Okay. I'm still here.
Yeah.
Okay. So for several years, my peripheral vision, recall, and things of that nature were impacted. And I've worked hard to kind of overcome that. But for those first few years, it was really difficult. The curveball was really tough for me because I just didn't have that vision anymore, that peripheral vision. Plus, my mind was aware that I'd been hit before, so it reacted. So I had to wait and make sure I saw the ball first before I went into my hitting mode. You follow me?
Yeah.
And that changed. So that was the story of the grill, and there's more to it. I mean, I can share more about it, but it was a long haul kind of overcoming that, and it took about 2 years to really kind of get the vision back better. And I saw it in my stats when I went to New York, and then I went on to California with the Angels. And from that point, after I got hit in '80, I just continued to have these little nagging injuries. So that was what the helmet's about. I wish I had kept the helmet. It would have been a pretty cool item to have. We just weren't keeping things back in the day. We rode down the street on a bike with baseball cards on the spokes. You know what I mean? So nowadays guys are making big money off of that. But that was the helmet of it.
Wow. Now, Daniel, I loved how you told me about you being one of the first ones to wear a helmet like that. Being the first requires being brave, as Daniel said.
Wow.
We were curious, like, what was the reception of your peers as you did something new?
Well, the guys in Montreal were very supportive of that. It was difficult because they knew that I wasn't the same hitter the following year right away. They wanted the team to kind of give me a little more time. They felt that my involvement with the team was impactful enough, regardless of how productive I was, how less productive I was, put it that way. And then when I got traded, it was a shock. However, it happened, and we moved on. But the Expos team, we were a very young organization, very young players wise, and I had a lot of guys that are near and dear to me today. I talk to almost weekly, that I played on that team with. And when they came back, they were very supportive, very helpful, very aware, and it was a shock because I just couldn't move.
Wow.
I mean, and I remember all the guys coming by the hospital afterwards. Even Roy Thomas, the guy that hit me. Roy and I were friends coming up through the minor leagues, and I don't think he was throwing at me on purpose. What he got away from him, big right-hander, kind of threw the ball high and inside, and that's his normal pitch, and it just kind of got away from him. And I just didn't react fast enough. I'm thankful I'm still alive because it could have hit me and could have went the other way, but I did the best I could for the next couple of years to stay in the lineup. But from that point on, I was used more for a cover-up player for guys like Kingman, Foster, others, Reggie, Jackson, DeSensis, those kind of guys. I was never in the position where I had those guys covering me like I had before. So I lost that. So I had to do the best I could with that, and it made it work. But God only gave me 5 more years after the AD injury, and I had asked for that because I'm gonna tell you, it was very traumatic when that happened. And Daniel, for you to point that out, of the what I had to do to stay in there and be brave, if that's the word. It was because, man, it wasn't fun standing up there.
Yeah.
I always equate it to this kind of mindset. When you're a young kid and you walk past the stove and you burn yourself. The next time you walk past that stove, regardless of whether you think about it or not, your mind's going to respond to it. And you're going to react whether the stove is hot or not when you're a kid.
Yep.
And that's where it was when I was going up to the plate. My mind responded to it regardless. And so I had to overcome that first and then hit. I didn't have that obstacle before I got hit.
I have a.
So,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh no! It just what sticks out of my mind often. I have a little 5-year-old boy, and one of his one of his kids shows, I overheard a line saying like, "You have to be scared to be brave. Like if you're not scared, you're not brave." And like that is in a kids show, but that always has stuck with me, and that's actually what came to mind here with that line. Just showing up anyway, fear or not, you're doing what you need to do to just be able to show up and to be brave in that circumstance.
Yeah. Can you show the cover again?
Go ahead, Emily.
Especially in that top corner again, that's to remind the viewers the face mask that they're talking about. Go ahead, Mr. Valentine.
The game that I returned to play after the incident, the injury, was against St. Louis, who I got hit with. The team that I was playing against. So someone was watching out for me. So we're still here. We're doing okay.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing those stories. You sold yourself a little short. You did hit more home runs than Reggie did on the Angels that first year. Just saying. But right above the face mask, Daniel also gave homage to something just incredible that you've been a part of. Can you take a minute and share with us your charitable efforts and maybe inspire some of us to get involved?
Well, this one here is very dear to us up in Canada, Montreal, and all over the world now. because it's the exposure from it. Perry has done an awesome job after losing this little beautiful soul to this crappy thing that we call cancer. Our heart goes out to her, and it goes out to the other kids that we're now raising funds for, so that they can get treatment, and the families get the help that they need, because this tears up the family big time. So we're trying to find other ways to be able to bring more family kind of unity and talk and communication and open lines of communication, so that people go ahead and share these emotions, because it's too late when they're gone. So when we raise these funds, it goes to Children's Hospital up in Montreal. What a wonderful place. It was a place where I used to give money back in the day. I didn't have this kind of money. I didn't have the kind of money Ferrero makes and but there was times when I gave quite a bit of money to Children's Hospital, and I did. There was no fanfare about it, because this is just what you do. You help others. Everything that we do is about others. We don't do any of this by ourselves. So I'm trying to get this camera right.
No, you're good.
The good thing, not only do I get involved up there, but here as well. I have a nonprofit here. I haven't been doing any counseling because my credentials don't fly in Texas, but we moved to Texas with my family 15 years ago. And so I've been able to keep the foundation going. I do a little bit of life coaching. I want to do more, but when this COVID thing hit, a lot of things changed for everybody. And so it changed for us too. So some of our funding changed and the whole works. However, one thing that my son and I did before he went and got a full-time job, we would cut grass for seniors that was disabled.
Wow.
I had a couple seniors that it would take them to walk, 12 feet, 13 feet. It would take them 2 minutes. They can't cut their grass.
Yeah.
So, the counseling part, I counsel with people for years and years and years, and sometimes people go back to do the same things, because they're just not there yet. But here you can see a definite, success story, because their grass gets cut. They got a beautiful home. They're on a fixed income. They can't get out there and they cut a quarter acre of grass or whatever. So my family and I, we started up this community outreach program where we go around and do that now. The last year or two, we haven't been able to do it because we get our referrals from Meals on Wheels. So they were vetted that, people weren't just trying to get the hookup, and get their grass cut. They had 12 grandkids living in the house.
Do ours. Come on.
Yeah, right. So Meals on Wheels folks, they would call me and let me know. And we had a few clients, and not many, but the 5 that we had, we made a difference for them. And so that kind of kept things going after the counseling thing slowed down for me in 2014. But that's what I'm doing.
Wow. Well, what I loved when I heard is both Potfly and Mr. Valentine are both making donations from the sale of this to that specific charitable fund. It's the first time in the history of Potfly where both the artist and the athlete are collaborating together in that gift.
Well, see, that's special because Daniel, for you to do this along with Colin and Perry, they all put this together, and they finally just told me, he said, "This is what we're doing," and said, "Ellis, I know you're gonna love this." And I saw this piece, and I was like, I'm an emotional guy. I mean, I'm a big dude now. I can sit here and be like a sponge, okay? You can wring me out, and I can let some tears go. But the bottom line is, you touch people, and so I'm glad to be able to share that gift that you're going to be doing by this project with Perry along with Colin, and those two guys. That, when I go up to Montreal, it just changes everything. But Daniel, this is really cool, and I am blessed to be a part of what you're doing, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ellis. It means a ton coming from you, and it's just an honor to do this with you.
Is there a fan
Awesome.
question, Daniel? You can pick up and go ahead and share and give a prize out.
Sure. Mr. Walter asks, Ellis, why can't players now throw it home on a line without a hop? I haven't seen it in years.
Well, I don't know why they can't do it, but I know why they don't have to do it. And if they had to do it like we did back then, it would get better. It might not be on the line like my stuff, but you know what? It could get better. And, a lot of folks don't realize that throwing is really a result of footwork.
Mm.
So you see most of these guys that you're talking about can't throw it on the line. I can almost guarantee you they're airborne when they release the ball because they have no footwork, no structure whatsoever. It's like crawling up a ladder that you don't open. It's so bad.
In interviews I was listening to with you, Mr. Valentine, you would say often how the throwing starts at your feet.
Yes.
And then almost like a whip, starts at the base and then like whips out. And I had never heard it described like that before.
Well, that's why right now you see Dak Prescott's throwing a whole lot better because what he's had to do, he's had to learn how to plant his feet better and use his body from his feet up to his arm rather than from his arm down. A lot of folks throw with their arm. Just take your legs, put your feet together and try to throw without stepping. It ain't gonna happen. Okay, so they gotta structuralize this thing different, and they're telling people you gotta throw better. No, you gotta plant your feet, use your feet better. And when you see guys do that, watch Ichiro, watch Vlad, watch all these guys. We don't be doing all this crow hop crap. Where you go up, you're off the ground when you crow hop. If you see me, I'm gonna do a foot shuffle. Okay, it's going to be a slide step shuffle. I want my feet close to the ground so I can get them on the ground fast. You see, and so that's why they're not throwing those ropes like I threw.
Yeah, I can't even pick a modern outfielder that I'd put in that group. I mean, Francoeur's retired. I would have put him in there. Is there a modern outfielder that you would be like, yeah, he's in the Brotherhood?
Well, no. There's been some talk about this kid in Boston, Renfro.
Mm-hmm.
Right fielder, he's got a pretty decent arm. I saw his footwork. He's got some good actions. I like what he sees, but they're not going to run on him very much because there's very few base runners nowadays. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's all home runs, man. Come on, So base running and strategy and all that stuff, man, is comical in Major League Baseball nowadays. Stuff that happens. But he's the only one that I've heard of.
Okay. Well, I'm getting this pop fly. I'm putting it next to my Ichiro and Vlad, and I've got my amazing greatest outfield of all time with you three. Yeah, I said it. PopFlyPopShop.com. It's only available until Sunday. Get the autograph. It's going to go to charity. It's a good cause, and you get this beautiful piece of art. Mr. Valentine, thank you so much for your inspiration, and thank you for your time today.
Evan, thank you so much. And Daniel, we're going to talk again real soon.
Sounds great.
I heard that. Yep.
All right, my brother. All right.
All right. Take care.
Thank you all for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Man, he's fun.
That was great.
Man, I want to keep going. He's hanging out with his grandkids, though. He's a good dude.
Good on him. Good on him.
Well, Daniel, you got like a couple minutes. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, well, people have been clamoring for an Expo. Some of them not so happy with Dawson that you went Cubs. Same group with Vlad. We're like, why is he an Angel? They got their Expo.
They got their. It was worth the wait. I'm glad the first Expo was Ellis Valentine.
Now, I mean, I was trying to guess who it would be, and you got Larry Walker. You got a lot of different options. What led you to Valentine, who top 10 outfield, but not the household name?
No, I think it was the legacy as a whole. There's the on-field prowess, and then there's his what he did afterwards, and just devoting his life to helping others, and that was those are my favorite stories to highlight in this series, and Ellis mentioned Colin, his the co-founder of Pass Bros. He had asked, maybe we can do can we do a custom cover of Ellis Valentine, and then I was like, custom cover. Let's do a pop fly. Let's get this out. Let's elevate this. So it was just an honor to be able to do this with him, and just highlight those stories that are out there. And baseball is much bigger than the 9 innings, at least, that we're allotted.
Yeah, well, I love the pick. I try to guess who you're going next, and I'm always incredibly off. I've never even been remotely close. So I just love the kind of you're back to the cartoony comic book style, back to like the fun. It was a nice baseball balance from Keith Hernandez before, being more of a Seinfeld homage. So that leads us to what's on the horizon, friend. What's next? Who are you thinking about? What team?
Don't know, can't say, but I do try to get to all the teams as I can. All the teams that exist. This was the first team that is no longer a team right now that I've done. But I do want to represent all the teams in this project. But some teams, just like the Pirates, the '70s Pirates, is a deep well, and I cannot help but drawing from that well over and over. But still got who do we have left? Blue Jays.
The Rays.
What's that?
The Rays.
The Rays, the Rangers. Several teams we've got left. So keep an eye out for those. That's my intent to get there. I don't know how long it's going to take me. We're almost to 60 now of these.
Yeah.
Done several teams several times, and some teams no times. But I hope to stick it to them all.
Okay, you said Rays, Rangers, Rockies. Have you done any Rockies yet?
I haven't done Rockies. My eye is on the Blake Street Bombers. It's kind of floating around in my head.
Okay.
But yeah, who else? Who else is left?
Anyone in the chat, feel free to throw out some ideas to Daniel. He does read all those. Any teams or players getting thrown out in there?
Kim Caminiti eating a Snickers bar in Mexico. I'm sure there's a story there that I don't know. But
These are Padres mostly, right? Or
I don't know who's Ken Caminiti's team.
I think Padres mostly, but I'm sure he played other places.
Yeah. Rod Carew as a twin. That's something that's I've already done a twin with Kirby Puckett, but Rod Carew is definitely highly requested to be a twin. I know you're an Angels fan and whatnot, but
yeah, he's a twin. I'm an Angels fan. Rod Crew's a twin. Yeah. That's how it is.
Vita Blue is another suggestion. I love the pitchers of the early '70s Oakland A's. Love Vita Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so here's a little bit of context for the Ken Caminiti. He was super sick and ate a Snickers bar and hit bombs that day.
That sounds like a cover to me.
Yeah, that's the secret sauce of how you can just kind of do what you want. It's like, man, I had a pizza and I had a great day, so I just have pizza every day.
Well, what about playoff baseball, Fran? Have you watched any of the games? Are you ready for your Braves going tomorrow? How you feeling?
I'm excited for that. I could use some Braves in the World Series. I've been spoiled having them in the getting almost to the World Series for quite a bit, but having them get this far without their superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that team is really that team has surprised me in a good way, as much as the Padres have surprised me in a less good way.
They fell off of the most hyped below average team ever. Man, did they win the offseason, huh?
I was excited. Yeah. I was excited for for what was going to come of the hyped up Dodgers Padres rivalry, and it was good for a minute.
It's a nice rivalry playoff. You had the Yankees, Red Sox. Now you're going to have the Dodgers, Giants. So we're getting those intense, even Cardinals, Dodgers. That's a nice history. So it's like a fun playoff to me. We're going to see some good matchups.
It is. Again, I'll touch on the Padres Dodgers. Like I'm bummed that I hope the Padres Dodgers rivalry, I hope that becomes a thing. So we need more West Coast rivalries. There's the long-standing East Coast rivalries, but we need some more Dodgers Giants scenarios over here.
Yeah, I don't know, and it sounds like there's at least a Padre fan here. I don't know what that franchise needs to do. They've reset that roster so many times. They've gone all in, and they ended up being third place, and tanked that second half of the season. It's got to be a rough feeling for Padre fans right now, because I don't know what else they can do to get that team stacked.
Yeah.
And you got two teams in your division winning 105, 106 games. But okay, Daniel, so we've isolated some teams going forward, some different players. Anything else you'd like to share with your fans? I know the Keith Hernandez was well received.
Yeah, that was a blast. That was a blast, and kind of opened the door to a lot of folks that probably wouldn't have normally seen the project, the Seinfeld folks. So that was fun, and to have it mentioned like on a broadcast. Keith Hernandez in the booth mentioned it. They mentioned my pop fly is a ball bounced off the Green Monster in Boston. Like that's just wild. That's a pretty cool footnote in life right there.
That's on the website, I believe, right? Did you post that? It's on the Facebook page if anyone wants to see that.
Yeah, it's on the Facebook page. And I think that the top of the second, Boston versus Mets, I forget the date, but Keith Hernandez in the booth mentioned it.
That is rad. Well, I can't wait to see who you have next. Thanks for everyone who joined us and threw the questions out there. One last shout out to go to popflypopshot.com. Only available until this Sunday. Once again, I love it when you expose me to players that aren't really on my radar, and this would have been one of them. And I just had a great time. And any of you go to YouTube and just watch some highlights. Super fun of this guy hosing people flat-footed against the warning track and just killing people. Super fun. Thank you for reminding us of this great career.
Oh, it was my pleasure. I learned just as much through this. And yes, speaking of nailing people out, Ellis was telling a story about him nailing Dale Murphy at home. Dale Murphy didn't even slide. He thought he had it, and Ellis nailed him at the plate.
Love it. As Pete Rose said, I saw a cool quote from him. He said, yeah, he doesn't throw like Valentine, run like Raines, or hit like Schmidt, but who does? So nice to see Valentine get some love there. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Daniel, thank you, as always.
Thank you. And Walter, send me a message, and we'll get that thank you, Popeye, to you. And thanks for showing up and getting engaged here with the chat. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Evan, for being a part of this.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.